Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to the most boring and technically inept internet show on YouTube right now. Welcome to Bland Gaming. Bland Gaming is a bland internet channel, but our games are not. I would like to wish everybody, whether you celebrate it or not, I hope you had a magnificent December 25th, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and we are on the cusp of getting ready to celebrate a new year and to see this awful year be put behind us. And before we do that, I kind of figured it would be cool to have a post-Christmas video saying, hey, what did you get for Christmas this year? And I'll show you what I got for Christmas this year, because I am a middle-aged man who still gets, well, I think I'm upper middle-aged man, who still gets toys for Christmas. So I wanted to show you all my toys. Now, before I do that, there's a slight disclaimer that I have to let you all know of, and that is that my 15-year-old and I have mutual interests. So kind of a way that we cheat old Santa Claus is the things that I get for Christmas are things that he likes, and the things that he gets for Christmas are things that I like. So it's kind of cool because we double dip, per se, on presents. So some of these items I'm going to show you are actually his, some of them are mine, but they both go into our community gaming pool. Anyway, so before we get started, let's go ahead and talk about what the drink of today is. Now, it is this afternoon here, so it's not beer 30 yet. I know that in my last video I had talked about going easy on the sauce a little bit. I would like to report to all my fellow beer lovers out there that I am back to snuff and very much enjoying my functional alcoholism. But right now, because it's the afternoon, the Bland Gaming drink for the day is actually going to be very, very dark coffee with a little bit of vanilla cream. And around the holidays, I like to put a shot of peppermint, it's a syrup in there. So that's it. That's our Bland Gaming drink for today and everything. It's my favorite house here from Game of Thrones. I was always a Baratheon fan. Rooting for Stannis. Okay, so we got a couple things for Christmas. We got some, well, he got some board games. I'll talk about those in a different video. I got a ton of miniatures. I wait all year long for the miniatures that I want to buy, and basically I get the green light from Mrs. Bland Gaming, and then I wind up buying my miniatures. So we'll go through that because that stuff is really not as interesting. And then I'll go through some of the books and things like that. I do play a lot of miniature wargaming. I don't talk about it too much on this channel because I think that most of the interest in my viewership here is with regard to role-playing games. I kind of come to that conclusion because the role-playing videos that I do get more watches than some of the after-action reports and things like that. But I am very involved in... I enjoy World War III Team Yankee, I enjoy Flames of War, I enjoy Bolt Action. I used to play the old school Warhammer Fantasy quite a bit, but I haven't done the Sigmar thing. It really just didn't leave a good taste in my mouth, and I've never been a 40k fan. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on over here, and we're in the Bland Gaming office here, so let's go ahead and transition over here to our gigantic stack. Now, some of this stuff I've already started to build. So I do play World War III. I currently have a British army. I have a Polish army, and my son has a Soviet army. So I decided, as I've mentioned in the past, love me some U.S. Marines. So I'm going to build some U.S. Marines. You cannot start U.S. Marines without Harriers. I worked with a guy who's a Harrier pilot for the United States Marine Corps, and he had some awesome stories to tell. So I really love the Harriers. Going to do those Harriers there. United States Marines do not have Apaches yet, so I had to get myself some AH-1 Cobras here. These ones are modeled Army. I'll be painting them in the Marine Corps scheme. I think there's a side where it even shows them in the gray, and nope, not here, I guess. But anyway, be doing that. And then right now, Battlefront is really backed up on their infantry sets for all their game systems. I am going to have some airborne Marine Corps infantry, so I needed 4 Hueys in order to get those guys and transport those guys into trouble. And then you always got to bring yourself some anti-aircraft. So I'm going to have these LAV air defense platoons here. And then, some Humvees with some Mark 19s and some tows. And I don't know if I'll do the Stingers or anything on those. But anyway, so bought me some Humvees. And this was kind of a joint gift for my son and I. He already owns Soviets, but he was very interested in the T-80s. I use Polish, but I only have 2 Hinds. He has 4 Hinds. And neither of us have any of the Frogfoots. So this gift was for both of us. He's getting all the ground forces, and then the air forces I'm going to go ahead and use for my Polish. I've already built the 2 Hinds, and today's like the 30th of December, and I built one of the Frogfoots, so I'm waiting on the other one. He hasn't even touched this yet, because I have a hell of a time getting that stupid 15-year-old off of frickin' League of Legends. Anyway, that's another whole conversation. I will make a video on 101 reasons why I hate League of Legends and what it's doing to my 15-year-old later. But for right now, those are our models that we got. So let's look over at some of the books that we got for Christmas here. Okay, so like I said, we play bolt action. We have multiple armies, both of us, but we focus primarily on the infantry part. So we bought the Tank War book, and we're going to go ahead and kind of we're going to get our treads wet and try the tank portion of bolt action, which I think will be a lot of fun. Oh, and in addition to, I said that we did all the models, but I think my son got 2 T-34s, and then he got a KV-1 so for his Soviet tanks. He is all about the Russians. He loves everything Russian. It doesn't matter if we're playing World War II, World War III, whatever. He's all about the Russians. We even in the game Scythe. If you haven't played that board game, oh my goodness, it's probably one of my favorites. I'll do a review on it sometime. Anyway, and then I got an additional Panzer IV for my Germans, but I like British a lot. But anyway, and then we got, of course, because we got the T-80s, we had to get the 15-year-old, the brand new Soviet book for World War III. I have read this. It's great. The T-80s definitely give the Soviet player the more high-tech, more high-end tanks that they have been lacking. Now, we played Old Edition, Flames of War, like 2 editions ago. I bought Flames of War. I started playing Flames of War in 2005, I think. So I have all of these miniatures that I've built and painted and everything just sitting in my garage. We do have the newest version. We've been waiting for the late war Soviet book. Like I said, my son loves Soviets. I was a little disappointed in this book. I was disappointed in this book because I ran infantry before, so I have tons of Soviet infantry models. And for tank support, I use KV-85s. And this is a late war Soviet book, and it has, I guess, IS-85s, it has IS-2s, it has T-34-85s, but it does not have KV-85s, which was a little disappointing. We played a couple lists out of it. We played a couple games of that. Flames of War is still a lot of fun. It's very different from, say, Bolt Action or even from Team Yankee. Anyway, going on. I also picked up the Yndaros source book for Symbaroum. Symbaroum is a magnificent game. I'm not a fan of where D&D has gone because it seems like as D&D expands and says, you can be anything, you can be a gnomish accountant, or whatever you want to be. You can be an orc entertainer, you can be a fairy paladin and everything. It just kind of got silly, in my opinion. I am a less is more kind of guy, which is one of the reasons why I love the Conan world so much, is because everybody's got to be human. It definitely has a rich setting with less race options and everything. But I love Symbaroum because Martin Grip is amazing. He really brings this world to life. I love that it is focused on, I am a less is more kind of guy. So this setting is very focused on the Scandinavian type of culture. I haven't ran it yet. I have way too many role-playing games and not enough time, but I love the Game of Thrones type intrigue centered around the country of Yndaros, so I really wanted this source book, and Santa delivered. Or more appropriately, my sister-in-law did. Okay, Another game. So many of you know, if you've watched my channel, I'm a huge Lovecraft fan. So I've always played Call of Cthulhu. I had the old Delta Green books. I have since purchased the newest version, and my son has actually dungeon mastered it a few times. I have not. I've been too busy with my Coriolis campaign, and then I've been running some Alien one-shots, but I'm very much looking forward to running these Delta Greens. Now, what's interesting is the Alien game has kind of like the cinematic scenario where you have the pre-generated characters, everybody's supposed to die, and then you kind of see if anyone survives, and it's kind of a very out-of-the-box way of thinking. But reading through some of these Delta Green scenarios, I haven't read all of these yet. Again, I just got all this stuff and haven't read very much of them. It seems like that's the model that these guys are using without calling it the cinematic scenarios or what have you. So anyway, got him. This one takes place in Afghanistan. And this one, I want to say, is a group of federal, like FBI agents. And I can't remember what this one is. I just remember that this one has Cthulhu is the Cthulhu cult is the primary antagonist in this. So these are all one-shot adventures that I got for my son, but I'm sure that I will wind up doing those as well. Okay, my group really enjoyed Tales from the Loop, and we model our Tales from the Loop group off of Stranger Things and off of the Super 8 type of setting. So my wife kind of thought, hey, yeah, Things from the Flood. I have read some of this. It definitely the story arc takes a darker turn. It's not a big jump for me because I actually made up my own stories from Tales from the Loop, and they were very dark. And this kind of goes further into that. The biggest difference between this and Tales from the Loop is that the player characters are high schoolers and they can actually die in this one. But anyway, the loop gets shut down in this, from what I've read so far. And since shutting down the loop, all sorts of horrible things start happening in the kids' town, in the teenagers' town and everything. The other big difference between this is an emphasis on the 90s culture versus the 80s culture. So that's a step down, because we all know, everybody who watches Bland Gaming knows that the 80s was the absolute greatest decade of all time. But we can work with that, instead of, Depeche Mode and Guns N' Roses, we'll have, I don't know, I guess like Vanilla Ice and Pearl Jam. Okay, so don't judge me. I am a Lovecraft fan. I love Lovecraft. I love Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu is probably, in my opinion, one of the greatest role-playing games that's ever been created. We finally got, what is this, 7th edition? Yeah. So at the pushing of my son, we finally picked up the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu, and then his grandma actually got him this Doors to Darkness. He had asked for the scenario pack and everything. So I haven't jumped into this yet, but it's got a new rule system and what have you. Before you judge me and say, why the hell have you not, if you love Lovecraft so much, you stinking liar, why the hell haven't you picked up the 7th edition before then? Well, let me take you over to my... Okay, and look, I'm restructuring my office, so it's very dirty over here. But that is why I have been very reluctant to upgrade my Call of Cthulhu stuff, is because I own all of the old Call of Cthulhu stuff. Everything. And I was, really dragging my feet on upgrading to the 7th edition because I already had all this stuff. And I like the system, and if it isn't broke, don't fix it. But I haven't read these yet, so I can't give you a review on it or anything. But I can tell you that the illustrations and the typography is just gorgeous in these books. And it's written by Sandy Peterson, who's just amazing. He actually signed my 5th edition copy of Call of Cthulhu. He was demonstrating Cthulhu Wars out here at my local hobby store, and I ran down there and got him to sign my book. And he's exactly what you would think. He's, just this little, very simple guy and everything. But boy, once you start talking to him about Lovecraft and Cthulhu and everything, he's just a genius. All right, last thing I want to talk about here. Right now, Coriolis, anything that has Coriolis on it, I am just a fan of. Right now, I absolutely love Coriolis. I love the setting. I love the way that my characters play it. I love the way that the kind of interpretation that I run it. I run it as kind of a combination between with the mysticism and prophecy of Dune, with also kind of like the religious background of the Dune type setting, and then also with the hard science and the spaceship centered adventuring of the Expanse. So my group absolutely loves it. I was reluctant to buy this. Again, my wife surprised me with this because she knows that anything that has Coriolis on it. For a non-gaming wife, she is so awesome about knowing what is cool and what isn't. So she went ahead and picked this up for me, and I didn't even ask her for this for Christmas. And I had read a review on this. I haven't bought it yet because I read a review that was very disappointed in this scenario. I gotta tell you, I mean, this is one of those things where it's got like 4 or 5 scenarios in it. I've read 2 of them just in passing here because you got to do something while you're drinking your old fashions at night. And I loved them. I think the biggest complaint about it is that the scenarios in here they don't include maps or stats. Well, there are some maps, I think, for some of the other scenarios, but there's not a lot of maps. There's not a lot of hard stats or anything like that. It's just gives you a basic story premise, and then tells you, hey, you gotta come up with this stuff on your own, or hey, use the stats for this guy out of the main book and everything, and then this will go ahead and use these stats to represent this guy's guards. Use these stats to represent this merchant, what have you. And it just, for a person who's used to making up their own adventures anyway, really, I just found them inspiring and very well written and very deep as far as a lot of intrigue in them, which is what I really liked. But again, the 2 that I read, and these things were like, they're like $10 or $15. And the 2 scenarios that I read in here are easily going to be, 4 or 5 sessions of gaming and stuff. So you definitely get your money's worth out of that. So anyway, that is it. That's all. I should rephrase. That's not everything that we got for Christmas. There was some socks and underwear that was got as well and everything. So anyway, anyone have any strong opinions about the things that we got for Christmas over here at Bland Gaming? Please let me know in the comments, or let me know what you got for Christmas. The other thing worth mentioning, my son got 2 board games from his grandparents. He got the newest Twilight Imperium. I know that a lot of people really love that. I think it's okay. I prefer a game that came out called Eclipse. It was shorter, a little more streamlined. And then he got the new Dune game, which is a reprinting of the original one. And we played that. I would really like to do a review on that, so I'll discuss that. Again, because we're still in the middle of a doggone pandemic, I will be reviewing, I'm hoping on doing some videos on what suggestions for board games or games for you to play when you're by yourself. I do play some computer games, but I try to stay away from it. I feel that it's easy to just waste an entire day on it if I'm not careful, when I could have been building models or reading or what have you. So, and again, that's the struggle that I have with my 15-year-old, but 15-year-olds love video games. So anyway, in the meantime, everybody have a fantastic new year. 2020 is almost over, thank God. Any comments, questions, leave them in the comments. And thanks again for tuning in to this was the holiday special. Yeah, the holiday special. It was not as bad as the Star Wars holiday special, but it was still pretty awful. But anyway, thank you for tuning in to the Bland Gaming holiday special, and I'll see you in the next video.